So as many of you know, the lawyer for the other party reached out to me, and I talked to her at 10 o'clock. And this conversation frees me up because of several things to go ahead and talk about which company the lawsuit is against and also what occurred. So let me get into it. And by the way, just prepare yourself that it's not disappointing, but it's not like some sort of immediate thing, what we want. But what's going on will probably result in what we want, and so that's good. So let's get into it. So when she first talked to me, the first thing I asked her was if she represented both parties. So this lawsuit was against YouTube and Google LLC. And the reason it was naming both is because our main problem is with YouTube, but Google is the parent company. So I named both as defendants. She reached out to me saying she represents Google. And so I double checked that she represents both clients, because sometimes you would have, legal representatives for both, but she represents both. So that was good. And then I asked her if she was okay with me recording her, because she's in a two-party consent state. And I'm going to go ahead and refrain from stating which state or which court for now. So she said she was not comfortable with that. And I asked her if she was recording me. And she said she was not. So she said she'd give me an email synopsis of everything that was discussed, though, and I said that was fine. So as we talked, she started out talking about the case not having been served yet, so we're not into the case, is what she said. So I served them electronically, and sheriff service is in progress, so that's what I told her. I said, well, sheriff service is in progress, so you're not formally served till you get that right. And she said, right. And so she didn't like that she's being formally served. And she got kind of steely, and she was saying, I'm not sure about your claim that my client actually has liability. And I said, well, yeah, not yet, but they would, and it would be pretty staggering amounts of liability if this person successfully goes ahead, once you're aware of what he's doing, and does actually kill or harm not only the victims he's already accused of doing something to, but one of us, since his fans have threatened those of us that advocate for the victim very directly. They seem to think your platform is fine with this behavior. And so that kind of got her attention. And I got into telling her about the crime, but I knew it was really important, the crimes actually, but I knew it was really important to let her know, because her job as their attorney is just to block liability for her client. She's trying to get them the best outcome that she can. And I'm not saying she doesn't care about morality or she's a bad person, but that's what they're thinking. That's their job. Her job is to protect them. I let her know that I'm actually doing that same job in a weird way too with this action. It's not against you, your client. It's helping them. And so that got her attention, and I started telling her, I told her about the Spheria channel. I told her what had been on it. I told her it was banned. And I told her right off the bat, their own community guidelines and terms of service are being violated, and they're not taking the proper action on that. And you can look up law. There's liability there for that, actually. So once they're aware of that, that channel should come down immediately. And then I explained to her, on the Spheria channel, we had advocacy for incest, we had doxxing, we had advocacy for violence, and things of that nature. I'm not sure what the channel was banned finally for, but it was banned, and he uploaded some of those videos to Rumble. They're in the writ. You can look at them. And you are not allowed to have another channel. That's the end of that, if they were going to follow their own community guidelines. So then I got into the crimes, and I told them about the beating, acid attack, and 2 arsons against a woman and child, and that this person was raising money, claiming he was getting a kidnapping lawyer in the past against his ex, and what he was really doing was planning on murdering both of them. And that's what we have the warrant. He's wanted for organizing that entire thing. And it was actually 3 separate attacks. They did successfully burn her house down. She now lives in hiding after being acid attacked and beaten. I could tell she was a little shaken up after I explained all that to her. And I said that his girlfriend also helped, and she's Primal Belle and he's Goatis. They're both on YouTube. And it was her family members that they used in the attack. I told her about the trial transcripts we have and all that kind of stuff. And so I let her know about the crimes. And then I said, look, all we want is, because I've found case law that shows that if a person has raised money for crime on your platform prior and they're doing it again, that you have, because of the platform-enabled crimes law established as setting precedent, then that satisfies the mens rea. Once you have an awareness, then you're obligated to take it down. And then if anything happens and you don't, you're liable, of course. And she understood that. And I said, so all we want, which would protect you, is to take it down. And once you do that, I'm prepared to dismiss the case. And she liked the sound of that. But she was already going to try to get me to have them investigate something and not file the suit. So this got kind of hairy because she said that she wanted me to let her have her client do an investigation, which would take some time, and then they would waive service. And what that means is they'll waive service for that period of time. They're going to let the court know that they're waiving service, they want to look into it, and that I've agreed. Now, I felt two ways about that because, I could go ahead and go forward with the lawsuit right now and win. Basically, I know that I could, or she wouldn't be reaching out to me. And also, let me make it clear, I don't think I said this before, but they used an external law firm. This is a very powerful law firm that they use for more serious, complex civil litigation, and not one of their in-house Google lawyers. But and that made me feel two ways, too. When I saw that, I'm like, okay, they know this is a serious action, and they know I could win it, or they wouldn't do that. And they want someone also that's just experienced in understanding matters like this to handle it correctly. And I looked up this particular attorney, and they have like a civil rights background, though. So I thought that was promising. I thought this person might actually be, a little bit more leaning toward trying to settle and get a good outcome for everybody, including when you tell them there's victims of crime involved, maybe she'll have the right mentality about that. So, and I think that's the case from talking to her. But anyway, I explained all that to her, and that was her proposal, was that we do that, which I balked a little bit. I was like, I said, do you know what kind of a time frame you're talking about? How long he'll be left on there? And she said, yeah, so investigation would be about like a month. So I found that really annoying. And I said, for every day that he's on there potentially raising money for crime and the victims are in hiding, it's very dangerous. It's like an urgent matter. I would love to think that something could be done quicker than that. And so she would never promise that. So I let her know. So if you do your investigation, waive service, and you don't take him down, I have until January to go ahead with the formal service. So that's what I would do. And she said, oh, so you would do that? That's going to be what? And I said, yes. Okay. And then I'm like wondering why she's already kind of taking this tone that that's what's going to happen. Like she knows they're going to try to deny taking him down, was what I thought it sounded like. And so I said that. I said, it almost sounds to me like you're already erring on the side of knowing that they're not going to take it down. It just and she said, no. And I said, oh, okay, good to know. She said, I just can't make any guarantees, and I'm just confirming that that's what we're both agreeing on is going on. So there'll be a month of investigating with service waived, and then if he's not taken down, you're prepared to go ahead and formally serve. And I said, yes. So they're asking me to hold off on formal service with the sheriff for now, but they will be telling the court that, which means that the time stops. So that's good. And I don't see how they could conduct an investigation and not come to the conclusions that are so obvious. So she asked me about things that were in the writ. I let her know about Catherine Richard also, because the other big concern of mine was my confidentiality situation. I explained to her that there's an affidavit in my ex parte about her being terrorized, basically, and abused in the same way that the current victim in hiding was, and how he directed people from YouTube to Telegram to essentially harm her entire family, doxing them and releasing all their info. So obviously I don't want these people to have my address, my phone number, my surname, and all of that. And she said, no, of course. So, like, this woman does get it. And she didn't know a lot about the case. So she said, is all of the evidence you're referring to in the writ? And I said, yes. And I said, and there's more if ever you need it. Please reach out. And I told her about some of the exhibits that were in the ex parte protection stuff, which would be their warrant and the affidavit. And then I also mentioned that we have Angelina's trial transcript as well. That's available online. And the skeleton one of Ilias, I let her know that throughout that, because I said they have very strict privacy laws in the Netherlands, so they didn't release their names to the public in a full transcript yet. They did say them in the courtroom, but they gave enough identifying factors that we know they're talking about the ex of Diane, who is Goatis Lagstens, and the girlfriend who was a model and who is on YouTube as well, and this and that. There's enough in there to completely identify who we're talking about, and that's also one of my exhibits. So she was very interested. She's going to present this back to her client. They are a busy, big firm, And they do need to like put you off because they could investigate for a while, but I don't know that it'll take that long. I mean, look at the body of evidence we have there, but just to prepare everybody that they may keep us waiting for a month and may even shock us with not going to do anything. I didn't go into European law and international law, but it's in the writ. So this was just like a touching base conversation. She was trying to feel me out for what I'm willing to do or not do and what I think I have in the way of a case. And I think she knows I do have one, but that I'm willing to make it, a lot better for them if they will just acquiesce to do the right thing. I think her main concern obviously is like admitting that there's any liability and trying to double check that if they do this, it'll look like they have any for anything. So I kept harping on the idea that if you do this, you don't have any, and that's all we want. And so she asked me if I was part of an advocacy group or anything. I said no, just one of the many interested parties, and this was the only way I could bring an action as a third party. And I think she was surprised I figured that out, and then that was it. I'm going to have her email today, later, that synopsizes what we agreed on, and then after that, yeah. So, it's just a waiting game, so it is kind of nice to know that human beings are looking at this, attorney is looking at this, and maybe we won't have to go any further to get that done. Next is Telegram and the police. So another thing to touch on are the police complaints, because I looked into that at the same time, and obviously this is so involved that I only wanted to do one thing at a time, but I did want to get that rolling a little bit. So when I filed this case, I also looked into the police complaints. So in the Netherlands, there's a process where you can file a complaint, but then they have to be able to, if they have a meeting with you, speak with you in Dutch. So that can't happen with me. So I am annoyed by that. But the U.S. Embassy gets involved in these kind of cases sometimes where something's happened internationally and you're trying to talk to the police. So we can see about that. The competent authorities that I reported the terroristic stuff to, there's a different process for that. It involves the ombudsman. So that's another thing, but they didn't take action when they should have, in my opinion. And basically, terroristic content online, like raising money for crime online, is terrorism. It doesn't have to be a group. It can be an individual. If you're an individual terrorizing another individual, it's terrorism. So Article 114 says that they are supposed to, once they realize that, contact the social media company and demand that they shut it down within 1 hour. And they didn't do that. And also, there's lots of law proving up that any law in the EU, our companies in America have an obligation to uphold their laws when they're interacting. And so jurisdiction never came up in our conversation. It probably would if there was, if we went forward in a case. I also feel like they could get really nasty if we went forward in a case potentially with just trying to shut it down. But I don't see why they would want to. The only reason would be if they're concerned about it looking like they're admitting to something and have liability. That would be the only reason I would think that they wouldn't act. Or if they were afraid of violating the rights of these wanted fugitives, which I think they're going to realize they're not doing right away. So I hope this doesn't take a month. But the POPO complaints and the central authority complaints, not central competent authority complaints, we could go forward with some of that, trying to do something on that, and then Telegram. Those are the other three things. And once the police understand what they're supposed to be doing, part of that would be subpoenaing the social media companies. And it's a lot safer to have them do that, because if I were to do that, it would give the third-party defendants more of a leg to stand on and wanting to know who's doing that with them. And I'm just afraid that somebody could make a mistake and leak my info, which they shouldn't be doing. So I just would rather have the police do that, and we can complain at the police about them having, as far as I know, not done that. So there's that. So we could just do some of those things. What would be really nice is if they quickly get them off of YouTube, and then we can take that to Telegram. And we can take the process that's underway to Telegram. And I explained to her about the PayPal also, that was reported to the FTC and that it looks like it was taken down. So that got her attention too. So yeah, I tried to fill in some gaps really quick. She does get the point. She is, stating that they are going to conduct an investigation, and it may result in what I want and a complete dismissal. I agreed to dismiss the case if they do that, and but I also said that I'd do formal service if they don't and take it to court, because what the lawsuit is about is the court demanding they do that. Me getting the court to agree with me that they need to do that. So hopefully we don't have to do that. That's great. And it kind of is nice not to have this on my back. It's on theirs now, which is kind of worrisome, but kind of awesome in a way, especially if it works out. And that's about it. I hope that makes sense. I tend to ramble. So, yeah, that's where we are. And hope everybody has a good week. I'll fit in doing some more of that other stuff and then make some content talking about it. Everybody have a good one. Bye-bye.